In this YouTube video, I'm going to show you how I do this little fake accordion style pinch on some of my bag designs. This is something I get asked about all the time, so I thought I would do a quick video on it and show you a few little tips and tricks for getting a really beautiful finish. So let's say you've already cut out your pieces, punched your holes, and added your lining. We can start thinking about stitching in this pinch. Now, depending on the leather that you've chosen for your lining, it may end up being really sort of thick and bulky in this area. So there is something that I like to do, which is to just remove a little bit of the excess leather from between our stitch holes. And that's going to help it sort of stitch together really nice and tight. Some of you might be using a leather that's really soft and thin for your lining, and in that case you don't need to remove this excess, but I thought I'd show you how to do it anyway. So I'm taking a craft knife and I'm just slicing very, very carefully through the lining only. So it's really important that we're not going through our upper leather, in this case, the blue leather. And the other thing you'll notice is that I'm putting my cut on the inside of the little slits that I've done, because we don't ever want to see this either. And it's really best to just do this bit by bit so that we don't accidentally cut the nice bit of leather. And by reducing the bulk here, it means that when we go to stitch in our pinch on the right side, it'll just go in much tighter. So with the excess bulk removed from the inside of the pinch, I am going to grab my thread and start stitching. Now, I always like to measure the length of what I'm stitching times 4, but in this case, because we're going through quite a bit more leather, I am going to times it by 2 and then times that by 4. And that should give us more than enough thread to stitch this up. And it's worth mentioning at this stage that I have already stitched the top line of the side piece before I'm doing the pinch. So we always want to start at the bottom, and getting that first stitch in can be a bit tricky. So you just need to make sure that you're wiggling your needle until you find that second hole. And sometimes I use the table to really push it through, because that first one is always going to be the hardest. And then you just want to make sure that you have got it pulled through so that you've got an even amount of threads on both sides. And from there, we can start stitching. Now, I can't stress this enough. It's so important that you remember to stitch from the bottom to the top. And the reason for that is so that we have a neat way of finishing off the threads, which I'll get to in a moment. And with every stitch, we want to give it a really good squeeze. Now, what you might find tricky is that every time we give it a good squeeze and we put our stitch in, it wants to keep opening up like this. So what I like to do is just take a little clip and just sort of clip the top of the piece and the bottom of the piece. If you've got a really soft leather that might mark, then you may want to put a little scrap leather or something under the bulldog clips so that they don't mark your leather. But you'll see now that when I give that a good pull, it actually holds everything in a little bit nicer. And from that point, you can just go ahead and stitch your way up the pinch, really making sure to give the needle a good wiggle to find the other side. And I would say with every 2 or 3 stitches, you'll want to give it a good tighten. So once we've stitched our pinch all the way to the top, I'm going to show you how we finish it off. So I'm still 1 stitch for the top, so I'm gonna put that final stitch in now. Now this top stitch can be really tricky because we wouldn't have removed the excess lining leather from this area. So just really take your time with that. Now once we've got up to this final stitch here, I like to give it a good tighten. And then what we're going to do is wrap right over the top of the piece twice. So I'm going to go over this way once. You'll also notice that I've already edge painted the top line here. So if you are edge painting, I'd recommend you do that first as well. And then I'm going to take this one and go over the top. Now you really want to resist piercing a new hole here. You should only be going through existing holes. So really make sure you give the needle a good wiggle and then pull the two really nice and tight. At this point, we can do a back stitch. Now, I like to do 2 back stitches here. So I'm going to go all the way through with one, all the way through with the other. And at that point, I'm going to remove my clips because we want to finish the threads on the inside here now. And you can see that that's stitched up really nice and tight. So for the next stitch, I'm going to go through the hole, but I'm actually going to poke it out through the inside, like so. And then we'll take the other side and do the same thing. You do need to angle the needle a little bit differently to do this as well. So give those two a nice tight pull, and at that point you can go ahead and tie it off in a double knot on the inside. Really nice and tight in there. And last but not least, you can take your thread snips and cut the threads off as close as you can. And there we have a beautiful side pinch ready to get attached into our bag. Hi, I'm Amanda, and I thought I would give you a quick bit of information on my online courses. I run both an online course on how to make your own leather shoes from home and how to make your own luxury leather handbags from home as well. They're totally separate courses, so if you're only interested in one and not the other, you can enroll in them individually. But if you are interested in learning about leather accessories in general, you can enroll in both courses as a bundle. The shoemaking course has over 50 hours of video tutorials spanning across styles like sandals, shoes, sneakers, heels, right up to boots. We cover custom fitting as well as download print and go patterns and all the information about the tools and supplies needed to make your own shoes from home. I've been running my shoemaking courses since 2010 and we've already got over 2,000 people worldwide enrolled in our online shoemaking community, and it is growing every day. My bag making online course is a little bit younger than my shoemaking one, however it's just as good. I've got various different styles including bags made on domestic sewing machines as well as luxury hand stitching techniques. My bag making online course has already got 10 step-by-step tutorials as well as luxury techniques such as edge dyeing, hardware, reinforcements, and bag accessories. I even have a section on small leather luxury goods. If you're interested in getting started but not quite ready to make the commitment just yet to the full course, I'll leave some links somewhere around here for my 2 free introduction courses, one of them on shoemaking and one of them on bag making. And if you are ready to make the full commitment, keep in mind you will have full lifetime access to the whole course, so you can pick it up and put it down however often you please. That's it from me. I always love to hear from you, so if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime.